What up, what up? This is Tony, aka Shay, back once again. So, this is something I've noticed as a child all my life is, just the difference in cultures around the continent. And I always knew it was I remember, so this is like, I must have been probably like 12 years old. And I remember I was living in high rises. This is in Maryland, and we had uh, one of our the people on our floor. So it was a bunch of us that were around the same age, and one of the people on the floor was Ethiopian. And this is before I really understood, just the different countries and the areas and the location of the different countries of Africa. But he was Ethiopian. I remember just there going to their house and the food smells and just the way that they kind of did stuff. I remember I went to Ethiopian church with them, and it was just interesting just to watch. And I always knew it was a difference for sure, but it never really hit me that we're all on the same continent. As I got older and I started educating myself more so on what's transpired before we had the land borders, just coming from Israel, and just the disbursement of all the different groups and going to like different places and the tribes and all the other stuff. And I really started thinking about it. I was like, man, we are really different, us West Africans, than like East Africans and Southern Africans. Like, yeah, we have melanin or whatever, but we really, culture wise, even in West Africa we have our own sex, but we're cut from a different cloth. Like, we're just completely different. And I see us as very just more I don't want to offend, but it's just my own thoughts. But I see us more as ambitious and just eager to make a mark in this world than anyone else. I think one example, obvious example, is when it comes to music and Afrobeat scene. And that's not to knock, the South, from South Africa and their scene. Like, they're doing it, but let's be honest. Like, just West African artists, Nigerian, Ghanaian. I'm trying to think of. I can't think of any other ones in the West African region, but we blew it up. Like, it's just everyone knows about it. Just it's insanely popular. And I don't know, I get kind of I feel some type of way, or I kind of get annoyed. I get annoyed when I guess people say, hey, we're all being oppressed systematically, and Africans, y'all need to come together, y'all all one people, and y'all need to fight all the outsiders and stuff like that. And I can understand what they're trying to say, like, hey, you're all black, but I think a lot of black people don't really understand the differences in culture. And just because someone has the same skin tone doesn't mean they look at each other as the same people. Now, I don't like the infighting that goes on. I think it's a waste of energy and time. It's not productive. Like, we're fighting the wrong enemies. But I don't want to subscribe to this whole we're all one, let's have one Africa, one government. Like, people that say that to me are just oblivious to the intricacies of what we have in front of us. They make it seem like it's that simple. Like calling, let's just have the United States of Africa. So who the hell is going to be the president? How are you going to vote on one president? Once again, and it's not entirely their fault, because all they know, and this is, some Africans say that, a lot of Africans say this too, but I think they get it from their, American brothers and sisters, but it's still a westernized way of viewing how you should be governed. And I think the best way to do it is everyone on the continent that wants to, let's just say sub-Saharan, say, look, let's have more so a federation, we don't have to be all one. We don't have to use one currency, but maybe we can have certain codes that, if we're going to operate and really help our people, we have to get on a certain level of understanding that, hey, we should be supporting each other. If there's strife or anything going on, we should be able to squash it. We shouldn't be looking at outside forces, because then it makes you look weak. So maybe doing something like that. Everyone has, I mean, the language, the culture, it's just too different just to say let's just have one. It's kind of, you're simplifying what Africa really is, and it's, you don't really understand how culturally diverse Africa is for to have that even come out your mouth. That, I mean, it's just ignorant. And I'm not trying to be rude about it. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's ignorant. You lack knowledge of something, and it's best to just educate yourself on the different cultures and how they came about, and the relationship with each other side by side. And then you start to just take a step back and say, you know what, maybe that's not the best way. It's gonna be too much energy fighting for something that's never going to happen. The land borders alone is just destroyed everything. I think the best move to make is really maybe having regional power. So I'm really focused on West Africa, but like East Africa, I know they try to do coalitions of like doing business and stuff like that, and I guess the Southern Africa, but really kind of making it so that you bring representatives from all your so-called states or countries, and then you pull resources together so you can have, let's just say, like an army base to protect your just to protect your land, or a certain economy where someone is manufacturing, depending on what resources that you have, natural resources that you have. One country is contributing more, and just everything just working in cohesiveness. I think that's a better way to go about it, rather than just say, okay, we're just gonna have one president. Like, why that? Like, even me, when I first heard that, I was like, the hell? So what's that gonna like? I mean, maybe because I see what's happening with, okay. So Nigeria is like I guess a good example. You have different tribes already, and then I'm not even including the religious differences and in that nature, but you already have different tribes, and you have one president that's from one tribe, so House of Fulani. It is already an issue on trying to get things done, because it seems like there's a lot of nepotism, or I mean there is, and a lot of favoritism when it comes to tribal origins. So he tends to favor the North. Now, it's understandable, yeah, he's going to take care of his own people at the expense of everyone else. That's the problem. And I think the way Nigeria is governed, it gets to be, it can't continue the way it is, where you have a president from one tribe being in control of multiple tribes or, backgrounds, and then expecting everyone to say, oh yeah, we're all one. No, we're not all one. I'm talking about Nigeria. Let's stop this shit. It doesn't work. It's never worked. Let's acknowledge our differences and say, hey, we need to have a way where we can be fair to all the different parties, and then go from there. So with Africa, I think if you want to do it, I think Africa is just too big just to have one big whole coalition. I mean, that's where you have the African Union, which is really useless. They don't do anything. A lot of them is bought out. I think it's going to take, if you focus on regions, you can kind of hold your representatives more accountable than it just being some massive thing. So, but those are my thoughts. Like, I just hate when people simplify Africa and just say, oh yeah, y'all should all be one government and just be states, and you should have one president. And some people are like, yeah, Julius Malema from South Africa. Like, man, what the fuck? Like, no. And the ones that really brought that on was, the black people in America, and it just shows the ignorance, and it's just not willing to learn how diverse Africa is, in my opinion, it's just, I mean, it would never happen anyway. It's just, it will be a waste of time if you try to implement something like that. Because you already know that one president they're going to look out for their own. And we've already seen this time and time again. Bad choice. We are not all the same. We are different people, and I am proud to say I am Yoruba. And Yoruba isn't just in Nigeria; it extends all throughout West Africa and the Caribbean. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's why I'm representing. No knock to anyone else. I'm just pro Yoruba, and I'm pro my people.